is Aeternum Radio, broadcasting from the peaks of Shattered Mountain to the New World.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of Aeternum Radio. I am Slacker here, joined by my two co-hosts, Big Papa.
Howdy.
And Ruko.
Hey everybody. We
are super excited to be chatting with you guys today. We are officially in the closed beta. Woohoo!
Yeah. It's finally happened.
It has happened through long queue times, many waited hours, plenty of bugs, but we are in it and we are playing it.
You know, the queue times have not been that... The first thing I'll say is the queue times have not been that bad. They get bad late in the evening, but I've never seen more than about a 30-minute queue time.
Yeah, well, never mind. I've only been playing for a little bit, so there weren't any... My wait time was like 5 minutes.
Well,
this afternoon.
And I don't know if you guys saw it, but it's the Eastern servers primarily that are getting hammered. I looked at the Western servers. There's like nobody playing on those servers for whatever reason. Yeah, check it out next time you log in. The Western servers seemed like they were empty. No queue times on most of them. Medium, a couple high population ones, but most of them were medium. So I don't know. The Eastern servers are just more popular. Maybe because they have better names. I mean, let's be real.
They do have some pretty good names.
They have good names. So.
Well, that and the European servers had really good names too, from what I saw.
They did. Yeah.
I don't remember the West server names.
Okay, our names aren't that bad.
I'm happy with the one. Well, we had what? We had Eastern had Atlantis, Olympus. They had Themyscira.
But they are pretty full of with popular streamers. Those are.
They are. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
I wouldn't want to play. I saw the queue time for I think Atlantis or Olympus, one of those two, and it was like 2,000 people waiting in queue, 6 hours
crazy.
Or something.
Who's playing
like
over
that.
there? Do you know?
Asmongold. I'm pretty sure it's Asmongold that's playing over there. I heard that from someone. And I remember we talked about this. And I said, when we were looking at the list, I said we need to avoid Olympus and Atlantis and probably Themyscira and Xanadu. Just because those are most likely going to be the more popular servers because they're more familiar names.
And I also want to say
mostly for queue times, during the beta.
For our first deviant of the game, we got to also realize that we're living in like a totally different world than when MMOs used to exist. Nowadays you have streamers and you have all the resources right at your fingertips on your second monitor, and MMOs used to not be like this. And I think it kind of changes the way you play a game when you have all these streamers and all these other people following and running them around. It's different. Yeah. Things are just going to be different this time around, even with a new release.
You avoid streamer servers at all costs because they are just going to be packed with people who either just want to play with like Asmongold or
people that want to troll.
Yeah, exactly. People want to troll. One of the two. So go play on a regular server with regular people is my goal.
Well, if you're interested in playing with us here on the podcast, we have picked a server and we have rolled our characters on it. If you want to find out more information about where we're at, you can follow us on our Discord channel, get involved with our company and our gameplay as we play throughout the week. Or these next couple of weeks, as long as the closed beta runs and then as it releases. So today we're gonna go over the news. There's been a couple of things that have happened, and then our feature, and really this is going to encompass the majority of our episode today, is we're going to be talking about our reactions to beta and our actual. I mean, there's been a lot of hypotheticals up to this point. Today we're actually talking about the concrete. What's going on? How do we feel about these different systems? And dive into those a little bit more. And that's where we're at. If you are wanting to be more involved with this podcast, again, you can follow us on Discord, or we are going to be streaming these episodes live. You can follow the Slacker Project on Twitch, or follow us on Twitter, or wherever you want, and you can follow and stay up to date with all our commentary. So, with that in mind, let's dive into the New World news. Biggest news, obviously, beta's been released. Everyone has dived in. I would say personally, it's been a relatively smooth launch, all things considered. There had been queue times, plenty of bugs, but it is a beta, and as a whole, things have been running fairly smooth so far. It's hit really, really great numbers. What were the numbers that we saw on Steam?
Like 190,000 concurrent. It's been quite popular so far.
Yeah, so over 190,000 different people have been playing at the same time, spread across North America. All their different server categories that they have. It's been a lot of fun. Official statement from New World: they have launched an event. It's called Battle for New World. Basically, during the closed beta, they're kind of making Twitch streamers compete with each other. And what they do, basically from July 20th to August 2nd, which is when it closes, when the beta ends, during that time, each faction will be competing to make sure they emerge victorious. The team with the most points at the end of the event will be crowned the winner, and to the victor goes the spoils. Every member of the winning team gets 100 copies of the game to give away to their communities. Every member of the victorious crew will also gain access to special Twitch drops, only available to the winners to run on their channels for the first few weeks after New World launches on August 31st. And essentially what they have to do is they have to capture territories, they have to do certain things. So there's a variety of things that these streamers have to do, and should they do them all, they scored points, and all these points get scored. And we looked at some of this and which factions had been scoring the most points. And Marauders, in North America at least, had been crushing it, and Syndicate had been dominating on EU last time we checked. So basically, whatever, all these, and you can see which streamers are on which teams or fighting which factions. And then at the end of it, there'll be a lot of loot and stuff to give out. Pretty interesting. I think this is the first real interaction we've seen making an obvious statement that this is part of the same company as Twitch, right? Yeah. Really cool integration, scoring points, getting awards. You're specifically getting awarded Twitch drops. You're getting awarded copies of the game to give away to your communities. So it's being very, very friendly to people who are streaming the game.
Yeah. No,
Are you opposed to that?
No.
I think it's smart. Honestly,
yeah. Amazon be kind of stupid not to do it, and I know they've tried to do this with their other games in the past. The ones that have actually failed. So we didn't get a real good glimpse at how they work, but it seems like this is going to be something they continue to do throughout the game as well, to incentivize people to link up your Twitch account. I don't know if you guys saw, you can already do that within the beta.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's just 100 copies. I mean, in the vast scheme of things, it's
for each person.
They can get
it's Amazon.
For each team member.
They could give away the game for free and not lose any money. So.
Right. I think overall it's a smart move. I mean, just to get from a marketing perspective, right? You're getting it out there. You're getting more people to watch the Twitch streamers. You're getting, and then they're getting the game out there into more hands, so they can have more players potentially. I
really don't mind so long as it never breaks the immersion of it all. Like, I don't want to see people doing really stupid stuff in game because it's for some event, or streamers steamrolling specific events because if a streamer disrupts my gameplay for their own objectives that they're doing, that's going to bother me. Yeah. But as of so far, that hasn't been the case.
Again, that could end up being a problem because Amazon is trying to incentivize people to stream and do stuff with Twitch and connect their Twitch accounts. So who knows what it'll look like on release. Or in the future. But I agree with you. I don't want that to be the case where a streamer essentially ends up running the server for everybody else, right?
Right. Yeah. By the same token, I don't mind being the one who's the underdog against the streamer, saying like, "Hey, we're going to take over their territories." That's kind of fun to go up against them, but
I see. I think I'd avoid it at all costs. I'd rather go to another server at that point. Yeah,
I think that's fair. That being said, we play on I used to play on Tichondrius in World of Warcraft, which was heavily populated and had like celebrities on it at one point, if I remember.
Celebrities, right. Wow. Is that Paul Walker and Vin Diesel? I heard they played.
Yeah, they used to play. I'm almost positive it was Tichondrius. It was either them or it was someone else that the people found out that they were on that server and everyone had flocked to it. Okay, so let's dive into that's pretty much the wrap of the news. The teams are hard at work, ironing out bugs, and I think a lot of patience is required. It is still a beta, but that being said,
I was going to say, speaking of bugs, did you hear about the one frying 3090 cards? The new ones?
Yeah.
What happened?
Apparently, people playing New World with a RTX 3090 are having their cards bricked, and that is currently the report. They've had multiple people report that. So be
specifically from New World.
So yeah,
yes,
apparently
what?
Yeah.
I was shocked too, but apparently that's the only thing all these people have in common, and it's happened over the last few days. So if you're fortunate to have a 3090, you may want to be
watch
careful.
Out.
Yeah,
right.
That's a big bug to have in your game if it's frying a video card. So
especially one that expensive.
Well, honestly, I think this one's on NVIDIA. If it's true, it sounds more like a driver issue than anything else.
I think so too, but just because New World's not even that intensive of a game.
No, I can run it on this not gaming laptop that I have. So and it runs okay. So
that's interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, they were posting about it there's a Reddit post, and then they were in my own Discord server.
I've seen multiple articles about it now as well.
Yeah,
from mainstream gaming websites. So I just thought I'd bring that up when we were talking about bugs real quick.
That's fair.
Oh, there's more to talk about.
Oh, despite these bugs, despite them, let's dive in to our first impression. So the way I want to go over our feature, we're gonna round table this sucker. So we've got a few topics we're gonna go over, and I'm gonna hit each of us one at a time. And Big Papa, you're gonna go first. Point number one, give me your first impressions.
I'm having a good time. I'm really enjoying it. A lot of people have joined our Discord and are hopping into our company and getting excited to build that up. It's been fun running around in groups, flagged for PvP and doing well against others and then failing hard to other groups. That's been a lot of fun. I both love and hate the combat, but the things I hate about it are I should say there's not a lot of things I hate about it, but they are kind of big things. But I mostly love the combat, especially fighting against mobs in PvE. I think when it comes down to the PvP, there are some issues I have, but I'll go over that later.
Okay.
I love playing with the musket and the rapier. I've been playing pretty much only with those, and that's a lot of fun. Anyway, I've just been figuring out how to purchase territory now because we're leading the company, and it's I know it's 100K gold, but trying to figure out how to purchase it. I think I figured out you have to go do it from the fort. Anyway, it's been fun, and it's been hard not to jump on whenever I can. Those are my first impressions, yeah.
I'm curious, you have been kind of spearheading being our company leader or governor or whatever it's called. How has that process been in comparison to other MMOs?
That's a good question. A little different because, first of all, you have to be... There's so much interaction between the factions, and I'm more familiar with WoW, where you have two factions, but you hardly ever see the other faction unless you're out in the world questing. But you're in settlements, and you're surrounded by other factions, Syndicate and Covenant, and one thing that was interesting is you have to choose your faction before you can join the company, because you have an important choice, and you choose it as you level up, right? It's not something you choose from the get-go in character creation. So waiting for people to progress through the main storyline to join the faction in order to send them the invite is one thing I noticed. That's not a big deal, and it's not a problem at all. It's just something I noticed, I guess. And as far as I looked into like managing the company and the rankings and all that, and it seems very limited right now. So I'm hoping
I noticed
maybe
that during
you
the
can...
alpha. I thought you might say that.
Yes, it's very limited. In fact, when I go onto the ranking page, I can't add or change anything. It's stuck, and I don't like that very much, honestly, because
And just to be clear, what you can or cannot change, we're talking about the various different ranks inside your company. So like if you wanted to have like a member, initiate, officer, those have all been preset with preset permissions.
ranks. Oh, permissions. Yep.
Right, and those are not editable.
No, not at all. From what I've
Right.
seen, not at all.
Are you sure?
And so there's I'm the governor, and then we have Ruko right now, who's the consul, and that's like the second. And then you have officers, I think, and then just members or something. I can't remember if they were called members or not, but that's it. And I feel like there should be a little more flexibility in there, but for more promotions and for different permissions,
Even for different
that you can
theming.
adjust. And theming, that was exactly the other thing I was going to say is like when you build a company, sometimes you have a theme that you're going for, and so you want to change it according to that theme. So disappointed with that. I'm hoping that they will revamp that or at least give us, because we've talked about this in other podcasts. I want more choice for the players. I want them to have as much choice as possible in a lot of these aspects of the game, so the game feels like it's it's for them, and and they're not stuff, anyway, but that's not a huge deal. It's just something I noticed. It's going to take a long time to get 100,000 gold. I can tell you that much. So we're trying, we need to right now as a company, we're going to need to recruit as much as possible so because then it will speed that up so much. But with the time I've had to play, I think I've gotten almost 3K myself. And that's been, I don't know how many hours I've played, but over the past couple of days, I've played quite a bit. So more players that can donate, into the company funds, that'll be faster, and then you can purchase a territory. Right now, one last thing I'll say, because we're kind of on topic. If you look at the map on our server, only 4 territories have been taken out of, I don't know how many there are that are available, but it's right in the middle. We've got 2 Marauder territories, 1 Syndicate, and 1 Covenant. So not many territories have been taken. That's taken quite a while to get going, and I don't think it was until like late in the night on the first day that even the first territory was purchased. So anyway,
and some of those territories are like high ranked territories at that, right?
Yeah,
like Greekwater. Some of those other ones are ones that it'll be a little bit before people can sink their teeth into them.
Yeah,
it seems from what I've seen, it seems that most territories, though, I don't know. I haven't been to Reekwater, so maybe that's the case. But it seems like we discovered that you can spawn. It's random where you spawn. Some people spawn.
I'm in Monarch's Bluff.
First Light.
Bluffs.
Yeah, Monarch's Bluff. I think Ruko and I spawned in Everfall, so it seems random where you can spawn. Yeah, and it seems. So maybe not every territory. I thought maybe every territory was like that. Maybe not. But it seems like at least in those territories, there's a range of levels. We were just talking about this in our Discord. Someone was asking this question, but yeah, there's a range of levels for the mobs, anywhere from low level to upwards of 25. That I've seen. But maybe you're right. Maybe some of the regions aren't starter regions and they have solely higher level mobs. Anyway.
Ruko, you're up. First impressions.
I love it. So far, it's been a really big breath of fresh air in terms of playing an MMO. Granted, this is my first one where I haven't had like tab targeting. I've had more action combat, but it's been a blast just running around and figuring out the world and leveling up my weapons, trying out different weapon combinations. And just exploring and learning as much as I can. I've been blown away by the zones, honestly, so far that I've been, especially Everfall. Everfall by far has been just a fantastic questing experience. It's a beautiful zone. The towns are all well done. The thing that really sells it to me is it feels like a real place. Like they've done such a good job with the aesthetics and all the terrain and everything that it feels, like you could go to some of these places in real life. Maybe not the entire island as a whole, but these individual zones for sure. I'm hooked as right now, and we'll see if it continues to be that way. I know the leveling experience is going to take a while, and I'm interested to see what the end game has to offer and how
Yes.
fun
Yeah.
it's going to be and whether it keeps me hooked. But right now, so far it's been fantastic.
Everfall, at least during the alpha, was actually a strongly contested zone because it was a natural trading hub due to the fact that it's very central in Aeternum as Aeternum is built right now. Mind you, that could change in the future, but it was. I remember that territory being a big breadwinner.
Yeah, it is. It's the most central of any of the starting zones, for sure. And that wouldn't surprise me that it's a hotly contested territory, if for that reason alone.
Speaking of which, I'm going to butt in here. I just noticed someone in the Discord pointed out that the first war to happen on our server just occurred, and Everfall fell from Marauders 2. I'm guessing it was a syndicate.
It was a syndicate.
Yeah.
It is Syndicate, yeah.
So I'm not on the game right now to check, but it just fell from according to someone in our Discord. So
It's a big moment.
By the way. But yeah, no, that is a big moment. First war, first territory that was taken. It's an important territory, like you were just saying. It's right in the middle. By far, it's the most populated territory I've seen in the game so far.
Yeah.
And I've been to about 4 of them.
It would really suck to be that company who saved up 100,000, dropped the money on Everfall, and lost it.
I know.
No way you made that money back in time. There's no way.
No. Well, I don't know. They went pretty hard the first day. I think that was the very first territory claimed.
Real hard. Yeah.
And either the first or the second. And I mean, the syndicate, they were very aggressive with putting that territory in contested. I mean, they did it over a matter of hours, and I was trying to post updates on the Discord, and you're like, guys, we gotta try and fight them back a little bit. Get on, let's do some PvP missions and stuff like that. Because man, they took it really, really quick, and then scheduled the war. So yeah, but again, that's really cool. I think that's kind of cool. I can go back and forth
and
like
down
that.
she falls.
Yeah. All right. Now it's our job to take it back, right? So
right, and undermine it.
And that's half the fun for sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
My first impressions have also been really enjoyable. I think that what has with New World has caught me off guard the most was the art direction. Coming from games like World of Warcraft and Guild Wars and Albion Online, even EVE Online, these are MMOs which are not very graphics intensive. They're really not much of a spectacle. Very rarely am I slowing down to watch a sunset in World of Warcraft, but in Aeternum, things look gorgeous, and I'm drawn into the world around me because it really feels like a next gen MMO, and it's not that intensive either. So I feel like for me it has really elevated the bar of what I come to expect from an MMO now. Like, this is good stuff, and this is its first. This is launch, right? It's not launch; it's beta. So that has also been really refreshing to me. The combat, I'm happy with and disappointed with, just in terms from weapon swapping. There seems to be a pretty moving from like one weapon to the next. For me, has been a bit sluggish, but I still far prefer taking aim at stuff. I found while I was playing that I was thinking to myself quite limitingly because of other MMOs that I had played. For example, I think I had the bow, or I had the musket, and I wanted to take a shot at a mob, or it might have been a player that was really far away, and I kept running really close to them before I started shooting. Like, I gotta stop doing that. If I can see them, I can shoot them. And just like, stop. If I see you up on the ridge and I can get a shot through those windows, I can get a hit. And that's really that for me creates really, really fun gameplay. One that you don't really get with any other MMOs, I feel, at the current moment.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I mean, I can't count the number of times, even with a melee weapon, I have outright whiffed an attack with it. Because even with the melee weapons, you've got to still aim these attacks, and specifically, I'm talking about the Great Axe charge. I have run right past my target I don't even know how many times instead of stopping at the. I think you eventually get a perk where you can swing it mid charge, but.
You're getting used to it when you're when you're going to fight me. You know, that's all. You know?
don't worry. When
Please
I go
tell me you had your big duel. Have you had your big duel?
No.
So unfortunately, it could have happened yesterday. I think it was yesterday. Ruko was playing during the day, but I was super busy. I couldn't get on until the evening, and by that time, he was already getting ready to, go leave. And I think it's going to be too bad because I'm going to out level him quite a bit. So we'll have to either wait for him to catch up to me or just wait for launch to do it. But I'll tell you what, if we do it at the level I am now with him at the same level, I think he's going to have a hard time.
Okay. We'll talk. But yeah. I'm confident in my melee capabilities against your stupid rapier. All right.
Oh man, I love the rapier and the musket. And I mean, I'm sure I love a lot of other weapons, but musket is a lot of fun. The rapier, I don't even want to talk about it because I don't want people switching to it because it is so fun. There's a talent there that I finally got that just changed the game for me because early on I was kind of getting a little disappointed with it because I felt like it wasn't as evasive as I wanted it to be, and it's a rapier, so you have to be kind of close in with the target. And there's a lot of other weapons that are just much better close range at because they're swinging wide arcs, they're hitting you in an AoE, so it's hard to miss, and they hit hard and they stagger you a lot, right? And rapier, it was a challenge because I have to get in close, but then I can't, you have a 6-second thing on your evade, and then you have a 20-second cooldown on your riposte, and it just didn't feel very effective. But there's a certain talent I got that kind of has changed the game, and it's awesome.
Yeah, I've been playing around with some of the weapon combos. I gotta say, overall, I really enjoy the combat. I do agree, swapping weapons can feel a little bit sluggish, and I just need to get better at aiming with my weapons in general. But I mean,
what do you mean by sluggish, by the way, for both of you?
It takes a little bit longer time to switch out the weapon than I think you'd want. It makes sense because it should take some time to swap out an entirely different weapon that you're carrying, but it kind of breaks up the flow of combat sometimes, right?
Yeah. I was expecting my weapon swap to feel more akin to Sea of Thieves,
right,
like where it's like this guy's getting next to me.
Blunderbuss, pull out the sword, start slashing.
Right. I remember from our communities even mentioning put the weapon swap on a mouse wheel, make that super smooth. I agree. Yeah. That's where it's. That's where I was expecting to be.
I rebounded to Q.
If you look at
oh, did you?
It's actually super. The reason I asked, is because I haven't seen that issue. But maybe it's because maybe some weapons are just slower to switch.
I think the other issue though is that you are playing a ranged and a melee weapon, so the opportunity to swap for you is very defined. But if I'm playing sword and shield and I've got a good opportunity to switch to the great axe, or you know what I mean, in the heat of the moment, in that combat, I don't want to slow down to switch weapons. I'd rather just wait the 2 extra seconds for my cooldown.
You just have to change the mentality and just factor it into your rotation. Essentially, you just have to.
Essentially, yes, I agree. Well, I agree. Yeah. That is part of that.
Yeah,
a learning curve, if you will.
Yeah, I've had to do that a lot. I found that sometimes I would just go 15, 20 minutes using the same weapons without swapping, and it's really important that you learn to switch those out once your abilities are on cooldown, because your abilities do so much more damage than your regular hits. Effective. Yeah, they're great. And so learning to use those effectively, playing around with different combinations. I found a combination the other day with the Warhammer and the Great Axe where I can knock somebody down, and if I swap immediately, I can get the execute off on them before they have a chance.
Because they're knocked down.
Yeah.
Nice.
The sluggishness of swapping out that weapon makes it really difficult to pull off, but there's just enough time.
It's worth it
when you do it, though. It's gratifying.
Yeah, it is, because that execute hits hard, and
that's a big part of this game that I found is that the combat has given me a lot of very satisfying feels. Even when I was in the alpha, I was having the musket. Getting a headshot on somebody when they were coming at me and getting the crit to go off and the burn to go off. Yeah. That feels so good. You feel like $1,000,000. All right.
It's fun.
But yeah.
Next point. You ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
I want to know what your favorite feature is so far. Big Papa, you're up. Your favorite feature.
Oh gosh. I'm liking the combat. Honestly, like I said, I love and hate it, but I love it mostly. It's a lot of fun. I love, and maybe you're right, kind of going back to what we were talking about. I'm playing a ranged and a melee weapon, so switching from ranged to melee feels natural as the mobs get closer to me. But with the musket now, I've unlocked 2 traps that I can throw out, and I have a sticky bomb that knocks them back when it goes off, and it's just so much fun to throw out a trap, shoot someone in the head, back up, they hit my trap, I shoot them again, it does extra damage because they're in my trap, I throw a bomb at them, and then I shoot them, maybe get one more shot off, they get close to me, I switch to my rapier, I dodge out of the way from their hit them, they're dead, and it's just so, feels so fluid and fun, and if I get caught off guard, it's fun to dodge away and get my rapier out, or maybe switch to my musket to throw out a trap real quick and just play around that, and it in PvP, it was fun. Okay, I got a story to tell real quick because last night I was playing with Josh. You guys know Josh, and I was playing for a good chunk of time with Josh last night, and we were having a blast in First Light. We were in that area because it was lower population, but we were finding a good number of PvPers out there, and there was one guy in particular who was in the Covenant, and he was 1 level higher than us, but there was 2 of us, and Josh actually had this like a similar build as me. He had a musket and a rapier. The only difference was his musket was, I think, sniping, was more down the sniper tree, or the marksman tree, thank you, whereas mine is more a trapper build. Anyway, I swear we fought this guy, we killed him once or twice, and we killed a syndicate once or twice, and then finally, we had to go back, and we came back and we found him again, and he kited us. He was more prepared this time. He kited us for almost a half hour. Like,
no kidding.
And I have to say this, I wish I remember his name, because we both said once we finally killed him, we both were like, you know what? We respect you for actually fighting, because he fought us, but he would get low, he'd kite away and drink some health potions. That guy must have had 30 health potions he drank during the battle. Like, it was nuts. So he'd drink a health potion, heal back up, we'd have to burn him down again. We probably went through, 300 shots with our muskets, and one of us would be with our rapier, and one of us would be on the musket, and we would switch around depending on who he was close to. And he kited us so well, but we would trap him. It was fun because he was playing the hammer, and I think it's the hammer that has like a chart. Maybe it's the great axe, but one of them has like this dash where you dash and then you uppercut.
Yeah, that's the axe.
Yeah.
Okay, so he would do that, but I swear I got him 4 times with the trap that way, because I'd see him turn towards me. Very predictable. I throw out the trap. He'd charge right into the trap, and then I just shoot him in the face as he was stuck there. It was awesome.
All right, well, you've played your hand, Big Papa. I know what to do against you now with my great axe.
Well, so he knew about the trap. What's funny is it's funny how quickly he forgot about it, because I'd throw it down and I'd kite him around it, right? He'd try to, we would be circling the trap. It was really fun gameplay that way. And then, Josh would come in and hit him, and he'd run away, and we'd chase him down. And it was a lot of fun. And props to him for actually fighting and never running back to the settlement, because he could have easily ran to the settlement. It was right there. But he fought us to the end, and it was a good time. So yeah, the combat is my favorite feature right now. I love also the animations in the game. I think they did a fantastic job with some of the animations. That includes weapon animations, the dead rising from the ground when the respawn happens for a mob. There was another animation that I was just like, that it was really satisfying, and the sound too. The sound when you hear the echo of the pickaxe hitting your iron node, you hear that from a distance, and it makes a really good echo. Even better, the shooting with the musket.
Yes,
yeah, you hear it from a distance, and it echoes, great. And it sounds so good. It reminded me of the Disney movie Tarzan, when Clayton, right, and it really pulled me into the world. So really good job with some of the sounds and the animations. And my favorite feature so far has been the combat, I would say.
All right, Ruko.
I'm going to go ahead and say the zones so far. They have been. I think that's really what keeps me engaged throughout a MMO is how entertaining the zones are to play. If they're boring and the same all over the place, they get old really, really quick. Uh, but I think New World has nailed it. There's three leveling zones that you can start off in, and while you do end up starting in one of the three, um, you can pretty much go to any of them you want. There's side quests to do in all of them if you want to do those. And the thing for me is they feel like they're the perfect size, right? There's enough in each zone to explore, but it doesn't feel like I'm traveling forever to get to some of these places, right? And when I look at the map, I'm like, oh, you know what? I actually feel like if I had to, I could travel across the map without hating my life, right? Whereas like you play World of Warcraft, even flying, taking flight paths to places takes longer than running between some of these settlements. While you're doing the settlements, you can gather stuff, you can fight people, you can fight monsters, you can do side quests, you can do things. There's always things to do on the way. So for me, so far, the leveling experience has been great, and the zones are probably the biggest factor to that. I think they're the perfect size, and the pacing of the zones is about right. I don't feel like I'm going to run out of content before I hit max level based on the number of zones there are. So
it's fun discovering things, and I would just add like it doesn't feel linear. Like, you know, in World of Warcraft, like you go from zone to zone and you know, okay, this is the next zone I go to because the mobs are this much higher. Like I'm in a zone and I'm fighting these level 6 things, you know, at level 6. And then suddenly I turn around, there's a level 20 mob running at me because I got too close to a tower. It's cool to see like how, they're kind of spread out, but you know, you could be in the same zone and find a level 20 mob and a level 6 mob, you know, in the kind of the same area. So
it's
that's
kind of cool because you can keep that in mind. Remember, I'm gonna have to come back to this place later and explore it later once I'm a higher level and actually fight these mobs off. Right? You're gonna come back to these zones and explore them more fully, which is kind of it's fun to revisit zones you've been to. You get a little bit of nostalgia, even if it's relatively recently, but it's not like a lot of MMOs where you do a zone, you finish it, you're done, you never ever come back unless you absolutely have to, right? There's nothing left for you to explore, there's nothing left for you to do. So you're gone.
You had dungeons, but that was done for when Group Finder came out, right?
pretty much, right? Well, I think the mythic ones today. So
you never had to travel anymore.
You do,
fair. With mythics, you do,
but still, I mean, it's even then you always have a set path, and you never go out exploring and looking.
And it's in-game content usually. You know, that's
I gotta say, I mean, part of these zones, I really enjoyed doing the faction quests. They are a little repetitive at times, but they take you to different parts of the zones too, and helps you explore different areas in each of the zones. And I mean, some of these little areas are they're just so cool. I mean, there was like this little town on a river, I think somewhere in Everfall, and then right behind this little town is a cave, and you go through the cave and you get there, half the town is on the cave. So you know,
the grotto or whatever.
Yeah, the grotto. Yeah. I thought, I mean,
grotto.
Little things like that within the zone that make it feel organic,
unique,
I guess. Unique. I'm gonna remember that place. I'm gonna remember how to get there. I'm gonna remember how to go through the cave if I ever have to go back. And just things like that really stick out to me and make me want to keep exploring the world and see what else is out there. So
I still haven't been to every place in Everfall, like every part of Everfall.
Me neither.
And that was where we started.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I didn't. Once I found out you guys are up there, I ditched the one I started and I came up there. And Everfall's been great. So
I think my favorite feature is exactly what you guys have been talking about so far. It's just that level of immersion that's inside this game. And I think another aspect of it that I've really enjoyed is even how you interact with the NPCs. How you have this main storyline quest that you can follow, or you can go talk to these other guys who've got their own stuff going on. And the characters feel more alive. And there's no vendors. So... And when you go to the trading house, you can get on either side of the trading stall. So it looks like people are actually trading with each other across a desk. Like, I think a lot of effort went into making this feel immersive and And it is constantly challenging. Maybe challenging is the wrong word, but it's constantly making me rethink how an MMO should be built. There are a lot of assumptions that I make, like I've got all this gear on me, I'm just going to save it all up, and I'm going to go sell it off at a vendor, make a bunch of coin. No, you can't do that because this is an entire player-driven economy. So you can either salvage your stuff or you can go gather stuff and sell it on the auction house because someone else is going to need it to build it because it's got this whole economy built on top of this. And we're in a later episode, we'll go more in depth about how the economy works within New World because we didn't get a chance to do that before the beta. But the whole immersion of it all I think is top notch. It's really good. I agree.
I was just gonna say I don't remember the last game I played that didn't have a vendor you could just sell stuff to.
Right. Just get rid of all your junk.
Yeah,
everything's got a purpose.
I don't understand why companies still put these junk items that you literally have an add-on to just sell it all the second you talk to a vendor, right? In a lot of these games, it's great that you actually need to decide what you're going to do with this stuff if you pick it up.
Yeah.
Right.
Every item has more meaning. It's more meaningful that way. Each item that you come across.
And not every monster drops stuff.
Yeah.
In fact, most don't.
Oh, so, I love that. I love that.
So it's
too.
like I'm not like looting every time I get a kill. I'm not trying to kill 20 things so I can loot it all at once.
Yep.
It's I don't need the loot off of this stuff. I need the XP. I need the experience. Like not only like the experience bar experience, but I need some more experience with my weapon so I know how to use this better.
Right.
It's a very different experience.
Yeah, it is. And I find myself, checking my inventory every time I'm in town before I go out. Make sure I'm going to have enough, not space, but carrying capacity in terms of weight, because I know I'm going to collect some stuff on the way. I'm going to get some gear. I'm going to get some, resources while I'm out. And so managing that while I'm down is another. I think that's a good thing. Do I go store it in this bank? Or should I maybe take it out and I might need to craft something while I'm out there.
Well, and you might have to start making there's decisions that you have to make between when you start visiting multiple settlements in a day, because what you store at one settlement is only stored there, which I love. So right now I'm in the process of trying to move my my home settlement to a different settlement because Everfall's just a little crowded and there's a lot going on and I kind of want to branch out a little bit, and I have to think about the logistics of I got to run all the way up there and I have to figure out what priority or like what I need to prioritize to bring, and then maybe try to recall back and but along the way there's so much to do, I'm getting sidetracked the whole time.
Right.
It's fun.
Yeah, it is. It's great.
It's a good way to be sidetracked.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's get a little negative just for a bit. I want to know what your least favorite feature has been so far. Big Papa, you're up. Least favorite.
The chasing. I don't mind it. It's not okay. I don't mind chasing in general. I mean, Ruko built his entire character around sticking to a target, which was a great idea for this game. Because let me tell you, when it comes to PvP combat, half the battle is catching the person you're trying to fight. Because most of the time, what will happen is you'll see someone out on the horizon, and you see that they're flagged for PvP. And you'll either see, there's a checklist in the mind. Do they have a bigger group than me? Are they a higher level than me? Do they look better geared than me? Right? And then essentially what happens is if those are checked off, that person, you run away. That's what I've seen, at least for the vast majority, is they just run. You're gone, right? There's no reason to fight. Some people do fight, like that story, and that's great. He was actually higher level than us and definitely better geared. It took us a long time to chunk him down. But yeah, the chasing, and the fact that, the half the battle in combat is just catching the person. And sometimes, it's a little unsatisfying. It's like you can even almost catch them sometimes, and then they roll away and they get away, and unless you have a weapon that's really good at sticking to a target, you're not gonna. It's like with the musket build, I try to bait people to attack me, because I know I can keep them off me and do some good damage before they actually get to me. If they're not careful. And but not if I'm just slightly higher than them, generally they'll just run away or avoid me, unless they have more people with them. So it's kind of an interesting dynamic. That's one thing I'm not a huge fan of, but it comes with the combat, and I like the combat overall. It can feel a bit janky at times. But that just comes with learning it. Like after I do an evade with the rapier, my character walks for a little bit. But I took a talent that increases my speed by 20% for 3 seconds after I evade. But so I was being chased by a 5 syndicate. It was just me, right? I try to evade to get the speed boost, and then I'm suddenly walking for a second. And it slowed me way down before I actually started running again, and they were able to catch up to me. And that completely took me off guard. It felt really out of place. It was like, why am I walking after evading? I'm trying to run away. And what's the purpose of getting the speed boost? If I can't, if I'm evading around a target and sticking to them, I don't need a speed boost. You think it would come in handy if I'm trying to catch someone or get away, and it doesn't work at all because of that 1 second walk. Anyway, right. Those are my quick complaints, mostly the chasing. One last thing I'd say is some of the light armor doesn't look very good, in my opinion. I think the coolest armor sets are medium and heavy. And I want to play light armor guy, and so I'm going to do it. Maybe it's funny. I'll get the wig, for the headset, I guess. but it's not my favorite thing. I was looking on the faction where you can purchase some stuff from the faction board or from your faction with the points you get. And the best light armor headset there was the wig, which I didn't really want, but the medium armor looked fantastic.
You could have maybe gotten one piece of medium armor and it kept you in the light category.
Right, and that's a question. I could, but then I have a shield as well, and I think that adds some weight. I don't know.
It does.
Yeah, and the shield gives you some more defensive stuff, and I don't know if I should. So that's something I'll learn. Not a big deal. Cosmetics aren't a huge deal to me, so it's not just one thing I noticed. And there is one more thing. When you respawn, it's not very clear where you're respawning. It could be a lot more clearer when you die, and you have like 3 options of where to respawn. It says campsite, and it says nearest settlement, but it doesn't really clearly indicate to you, and it kind of centers on the map, but it doesn't really pinpoint it. And a few of us were having issues because we were trying to respawn at the settlement, but we respawned actually at a base camp somewhere else, and it took us way out of the way. It was really weird. That could be more clear, and I don't like that when you respawn at the settlement, it resets your recall.
Oh, that.
I don't like that. But anyway, those are my complaints.
Ruko?
I gotta say, I mean, with Big Papa's talking about the armor, I actually don't mind the armor, but I want to say that my character was crazy, ugly, mismatched, disgusting looking for a little bit. I had like a pink corset on at one point with a bonnet, and I already made my character pretty ugly.
Well, your hair, I mean,
yeah, my character is pretty hideous just for the beta, and it was pretty hilarious to watch my character run around in this dress and corset and bonnet, slaying things. So, that's not one of my complaints. I would say so far, I've got 2 little minor complaints. One is the fact that people can just run back into the settlements during PvP. I got so annoyed with that. And granted, you got to keep in mind if you're fighting someone near a settlement, that's always the option. But I mean, it happened to me 4 or 5 times. I was fighting somebody, they started to lose, so they just ran into the settlement zone, and
yep,
and there's nothing.
That does suck.
Yeah, it's a cowardly thing to do for sure. I took all my deaths like a man. Okay, I just want to throw that out there. I don't know that that's something they can necessarily change, but it did irk me a little bit that it wasn't the most fun thing. The other thing has been actually part of the gathering. I to this day still have no clue where to go get hemp in order to make linen. I don't know. I have no clue.
Oh,
I got a sign. Well, you probably, but the thing is, the game doesn't make it very clear where you can.
Okay, so I think part of that might have just been the fact that we're playing during beta, it's super busy, and hemp is highly sought after.
Maybe, but
Two, were you aware in the map there's a spot where you can click to see all the locations of resources, or at least what
Well, so I did know like the
types
terrain types, right? Yeah, I did find that, but it's not obvious like chopping down a tree, right? It's not obvious like mining stone.
That's fair.
And if you're colorblind, that's never going to work for you. Like honestly, the colors are so close. I know, but I'm just saying like. To add to that, like it's not very clear again. You know, sometimes with they're literally shades of green. You know,
right? Yeah.
So sometimes it can be hard to tell.
It's just I might know the terrain type to go look for it, but I don't know. I mean, until I find it, I don't know what it looks like, and I don't. I don't. It's not going to show me that I can actually gather it until I get close enough, right? And,
Well, our friends over at newworldfans.com, they have a interactive map,
right?
And you can actually see where they place all the nodes. But all that is subject to change with beta and release.
I'm sure I can look all this stuff up, but I don't want to. I mean, I want the game to actually have it out there for me already. Not necessarily. I mean, it's fine making players discovery, but like for something so important with crafting being really, really important. I mean, I found like you cannot ignore crafting in this game. I feel like I'm far behind on building up that crafting because you need a lot of linen in order to do these things. And I've had to end up going buy some off of the trading post, which is good. That's what it's there for. But I'd like to know where it is myself without having to wander the entire world until I find it. Right. So I don't think it's a huge issue. I mean, like you guys all found it, right? I'm probably just the big idiot who didn't find it. So
you are.
Well, no. Let me say this. If you've been playing mostly in Everfall, like from what I've seen, it's very uncommon in Everfall. I went down, I looked at the resource map, I went down to the one area that I saw that was like a little grassland, and I found like one node of hemp. And that's the only node. There might have been one other node I found in a forest somewhere in Everfall. That's it. 2 nodes I've seen. I went to another territory and it was everywhere in their grassland. It was everywhere, like just so common. So I don't know if it's just depends from territory to territory, but that's one note I would say on that.
Yeah, I'm sure there's. I mean, once you know what it looks like, it's probably a lot easier to find. And I'm sure there's going to be other resources like that. I mean, the sheer number of resources there are for a lot of these things in the crafting is a bit astounding, and trying to keep track of where all they came from. And
but that's also the upside, because you don't need to be the master of all of those.
That's true.
Pick a lane, get good at gathering maybe just leather, and then get what else you need off the auction house.
That's true, and you can't do that. But I mean, I feel things like cooking, right? Having rations while you're out is really important, and some of these other recipes are going to be important. And I mean, the cooking ingredient list is big. It's quite big, and some of the things are like berries. Some of the things you go out and gather. Some of them you get from just killing mobs and stuff like that. I don't know if you heard about the incident with the Twitch streamer getting banned for milking a cow.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Are you serious?
It wasn't. Yeah, that's a whole nother story. But you're getting a lot of different resources that even if you're not going to max all your crafting, you really do want them for things like cooking, so you can actually survive out in the world without sitting down or building a campsite every time your health gets shrunk down a little bit. Other than that, I've only encountered one other bug, which I haven't put a ticket in or anything. It's not that big of a deal, but I did try to sell something, and I canceled the auction. And the first time it went back into my inventory, I relisted at another price, got undercut, and canceled it again, and it didn't go back in my inventory the second time, and it is now lost into the nether. I don't know what happened to it. I couldn't find it anywhere. I've looked absolutely everywhere. I thought maybe it went to one of my storage things, didn't find it. Maybe somebody knows the answer to that, but that was.
We left it on the ground.
Yeah, it wasn't a. I mean, can you even do that? I know you can drop items, I think, but I don't think I left it on the ground. I had plenty of spot in my inventory, so that shouldn't be the problem. But
right now,
Yeah.
Right. I was just gonna say right now the bug is there seems to be like the bug, right? Of the like there was a time, and I think you were playing during this time where it was like the year of famine, right? Where there were no mobs respawning.
Oh, I heard so many stories about where are the sheep? Where are the sheep? I can't find the sheep anywhere. Yeah, I saw.
Right now it's invisible trees. Right now there
Invisible
are
trees.
Yeah, right now
Yeah.
there are fallen trees. So occasionally a fallen tree will spawn and you can chop that up, right? A dead tree.
Yeah.
Well, they're invisible. So you run, and it looks like you're lagging out because you're hitting an invisible wall and you're rubber banding a little bit, but you're just hitting a tree.
So as we can see, this game is completely bug free. Amazon's doing a great job. No, this is why you have a beta, right?
Exactly.
Overall, I
right.
don't have too many negatives. It's been good so far.
My least favorite feature is, and it's funny, each of us have touched on this element of the game, is flagged PvP. I'm really bummed that oftentimes an opposing faction's color pops up above their head, and I get excited to go fight them, and they're not flagged for PvP. I'm not a huge fan of the flag on, flag off system. I feel like, especially during the end of the alpha, nobody was flagged for PvP. I like the sense of like who's on the horizon. Are we gonna duke it out, or are we not gonna duke it out? It has yet to grow on me a bit more. But as it stands right now, the flagged PvP is one of my least favorite aspects. I love the PvP system. I don't know if there's a way to do it better. If it's like flagged PvP in specific zones, and then they have other zones that aren't flagged. But something along those lines, I think would, I came to play a PvP game. I want to play that a little bit more. I'm being very cynical, but this is just, I'm nitpicking here.
Sure.
Because I have had really great PvP encounters. I've had really great opportunities to fight someone. The fights that I do have in PvP are much longer. Even when I'm outgunned, the fight itself lasts substantially longer than one in other MMOs. I'm dodging, I'm attacking, I'm trying to get away, they're catching up to me. That whole cat and mouse game, if I'm overcome, or even if I'm toe-to-toe with someone else and we're like chucking food down and we're popping potions, that whole back and forthness is really good. I think that PvP should be more, I would like it to be more frequent. And I understand there are people who don't want it to be more frequent. And someone from our community even mentions, hey, offer PvP only servers. I think that's a great solution. But that's so far, that's been my only like, the thing that's kind of been a little underwhelming,
So,
if you will.
Can I comment on that real quick?
No.
Okay.
Just kidding.
All right, we'll
No,
move
go
on
ahead.
to the next. I was going to say, I was actually in the same boat as you prior to playing the beta, and I don't think this will be as much of a problem once the initial leveling experience is kind of completed and the zones aren't so crowded anymore. But I mean, there was a point I had PvP flagged on from the second I could for a really long time. And I got almost nothing done for about 3 or 4 hours.
I remember that.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, and it's not that actually doing PvP stuff actually gives you a good amount of experience. So it's not like I wasn't progressing at all. But I mean, there are bands of just roaming squads who are running around killing anyone they can, which I totally am also going to do. I mean, we've done it a little bit, I think, already. And but I'm starting to understand at least somebody else's perspective on how much it sucks to just run into squad after squad after squad and just get obliterated.
I agree.
Over and over.
Yeah.
I love the PvP, but I think until the it's kind of spread out a little bit more, people aren't literally waiting outside the settlement, following you until your PvP comes flagged on and then attacking you immediately to kill you. That type of stuff. It's going to be difficult to do stuff with PvP on if you're by yourself. If you're in a group, I think you're going to be fine. It's going to be a lot of fun. But if you're by yourself, you just don't stand a chance with PvP flagged on.
Most people are grouped up when they're
Yeah.
flagged for PvP, and I was going to ask Slacker,
Yeah.
did you actually play during the pre-alpha or whatever when there was?
Yes.
What was that like for you?
I don't know if this is. We're just going to talk about it anyway. But so before the summer preview, I had an opportunity to play where it was far more sandboxy. So all those crafting stations were actually built by a company. The walls were built by a company. So people would be making their own settlements, and then they would be protecting specific things called, they were these little Azoth nodes, and they'd be guarding those, and people would try and break in. It was much more of like a Rust kind of kind of a system. And there was certainly a level of getting ganked and people taking all your stuff, because it was when you died, you dropped everything. So you could run into a settlement, drop off what you didn't need, and off you went. What I loved about that system, though, and the way that it had been set up, because there were no settlements, was that I would go off into the mountains. I'd pack up some stuff, and off I went. I went to very low population areas, and I stayed up there. And in my camping, I could craft specific gear that was only like mountaineering gear and stuff. And it felt very mountain man kind of out in the new world. And I really, really like that. But there certainly was a level of like Ark and Rust, those kinds of games where the base building becomes really chunky and it's only built for functionality, not for design. So you end up having like 4 or 5 walls deep, like right in front of each other, or you have all the crafting stations stacked on top of each other so that they don't take the damage as well. Things like that was I'm not a fan of that, especially in Rust and games like Ark and stuff like that. I like to build aesthetically pleasing bases. They tend to never be the most functional. So moving into the system that it has now, I'm okay with the direction it's gone. It's become much more mainstream MMO. But just that toggle system still is. It's only a bummer because I love Sea of Thieves and I love the opportunity to look on the horizon and see an enemy ship and be like, what are you going to do? Are we going for it? Are we fighting? Or we walk in different directions? What faction are you? It gives you a lot of like, oh, you're a buddy. You're cool. We can quest in this area without worrying about it. Or, oh, you're not in my faction. I like that, but it's definitely not a deal breaker for me. I'm still very much enjoying it.
Yeah, I would say, maybe they could do something like, I don't know, maybe once you get max or you get close to max, you have to have it on all the time, right? Because then it's not as bad as a threat, and I think at that point, people will be more spread out across the entire world, that you're not gonna run into as many gank squads as there are right now. I mean, there's one around like every corner. Right now, you spawn and then you're immediately being hunted by another gank squad, which is fun because it's fun to do it yourself. But the zones are just packed right now, and
they are.
Yeah. So it'll get better over time, but I agree. I mean, I'm here for the PvP more than anything else. And the PvE is just serving a means to an end, right? To get higher level, get better gear, so I can PvP more effectively. Right?
I think, and this is just one last comment I'll say on this topic. I think it would be cool if, like, when you control a territory, certain places in that territory became PvP areas. Not the whole territory, because like along the paths, right? Or maybe there's safe areas, but like maybe where the nodes are, where the iron nodes are, or the specific areas that are popular because there's quests are sending you there. I don't know. It would be cool if you entered an area and you automatically are flagged for PvP.
That's what forts are.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's a little more. It's a fort, it's like I don't know. I don't know much about forts, to be fair.
They're control zones, right? And they get conquered by a faction. And I know I've seen chat blowing up with, "Hey, we got to go take this fort back," and stuff like that. So you kind of have that. It's not probably exactly what you're talking about.
No, yeah, I'm thinking like you go into an area and suddenly it's like this is a PvP area, and it's because that faction controls it. If you're not part of that faction, you're suddenly flagged for PvP, and anyone from that faction can kill you if you're in there. So it's like risky to go in there, But right. I don't know. That might make it a different game. Well, I agree with Slacker to a point where it's like I don't like the toggleable thing, but I'm also with you where I understand why they did it now that I've done it. I completely understand, so.
I was gonna say with the PvP, like you have those PvP missions, and they're actually very rewarding in terms of reputation and resources for your faction. But they do send you into the same areas as other people who are flagged for PvP, right? As far as I understand, those PvP missions all kind of take place within all the factions are sending people to the same areas. So you will, if you take those missions and go out with the group, you will encounter other people who are trying to do the same thing as you, and it's
Yeah,
brutal
that's true.
because if you die you have to start over,
You
right?
lose
So
all your
would,
progress.
yeah,
Very
even,
brutal.
even if you've
Yeah.
completed the quest. I had 2 PvP quests when I was running back to town, and I got ganked and I died and I lost
Yeah.
both of them. I got punched my screen, but that's okay. That's okay. That's what you do when you PvP. You got to expect that to happen, right? So
sure.
and you'll learn and get better next time.
Yeah.
Okay, our last topic of today, and we're going to be real brief with this because we're very short on time. But so just real quick, I want to know what feature everyone has been most surprised about, whether that was good or bad, something that you knew about going into this or you didn't know about that just kind of caught you off guard. What has been the most surprising? Big Papa, what do you got?
Okay, I'll be quick. I'll be very quick. First, there are a ton of Marauders on North American servers. I don't think Ruko and I expected that at all. But there's a perk because maybe we'll consider switching for launch.
Yeah.
But it does it's funny because EU is Syndicate and North America as mostly Marauders, and I don't know why, but that just makes sense to me that would happen. Just based on the
everyone
faction
knew
mottos.
The Covenant. Nobody was going to choose Covenant, right? So.
Right. They are the lowest populated faction. So okay, the next thing is I was surprised about how hard it was to get cartridges. That it's not so bad anymore, but initially it was hard.
I think that's just a
it's cool. It was cool.
Thing,
I was okay with it. It's not a bad thing in my opinion. It was just surprising because it was like, whoa. And I think the biggest surprise, just this, for me, this is the biggest surprise for me. It takes a long time to level up your weapons after the first few levels. Holy crap. I did not expect that. And that's okay. I don't think that's a bad thing. But it surprised me because in MMOs I'm used to
steady progress type thing.
Well, for Guild Wars too, they had a similar thing where you use the weapon, you level it up, right? And it wasn't as long as you kept playing with that weapon, it went pretty fast getting all the abilities you could get for that weapon unlocked. This one it's like I use a weapon, I kill a mob and it's like 7 experience and I got to get 1200, for the next level. And it was surprising, and I'm okay with that because it just makes it feel that much more rewarding when I do get those talents. So
you get to all the abilities real quick, but then those deeper talents become far more rewarding. For sure.
Very hard. Yeah, it takes a while. So, yeah, that was the biggest surprise for me, I'd say.
Ruko?
Yeah, I agree that the both the weapon leveling and the regular leveling, like they drop off hard. I go like around level 7 or so. Like it just drops off and it starts taking a while. Which again I'm fine with. The weapon leveling again I'm fine with it as long as it's pacing with the actual leveling in game. And I think once you hit max level, it becomes a lot easier to level lower level weapons. I'm pretty sure the XP you get from a weapon level is based off the level of mob you kill. So if you hit max level,
yeah,
so you can level up a new weapon real quick once you hit max level if you wanted to switch. So I'm fine with that. I think it's actually
it's a good point.
Going fine. I was gonna say I was actually surprised by the amount of voice dialogue that is in the game. Like all the quests have
like voice acting.
Yeah, voice acting. Yeah, exactly. I'm really enjoying it. I don't know that I've ever played a game with this much where I don't have to read all the quest text. They'll just tell me about it, which helps with the immersion too, right?
It does.
Right? I think
makes you actually
great.
care about some of the NPCs for sure.
Yeah, it does. It gives them more of a personality too. You hear how they talk and things like that, and they can express things that normally would just be written. So I think that's been good. I was pleasantly surprised by that, and trying to think if there's anything else. I think that's probably about it for right now.
I think the feature that has surprised me the most has actually been the audio for a number of reasons. One, music's been fantastic. Two, audio cues are actually important. I can hear someone shoot a musket and I can figure out what direction they're in. I can hear a tree fall in the forest and realize that there's someone behind that tree that I didn't realize before. That to me has been mind-blowing when it comes to an MMO. And it's been like one of those things that I'm like, how has this not been a staple beforehand? It even has proximity chat. I don't use that, but
I want to use it so bad.
Just the fact that when I'm doing a PvP mission or whatever, I can audibly hear my opponents, or I can audibly hear people on a level that I've never been able to do so in an MMO before. Yeah. Footsteps, the whole 9 yards, and I really, really enjoy that, and it's something I was not expecting coming into it.
Yeah, like Big Papa mentioned, hearing those musket sounds off in the distance, people are fighting. It just sounds great. It really does. It sounds like
you guys have mentioned this before. Yeah. Even the echoing that you hear when you're up in the mountains, you're smacking a rock. That's really cool.
Chopping down a tree. Agree. It sounds like an active world that people are participating in, which is great. Yes, right? I've never played an MMO like that, where you can tell other people are in it from the sound.
Yeah.
I
agree. They've done a really good job on the sound. That was one of my first impressions. I 100% agree.
Proximity chat? We're going to do proximity chat sometime, right? Well,
I know why you want to do it.
The next episode, we're going to record in proximity chat.
Well, hey, it would be cool to have a company meeting. You all gather in someone's house and you just have proximity chat.
Oh, gosh.
That would be pretty cool.
That is kind of cool. Okay,
that would be cool. It could be chaotic. It could be chaotic.
But it would also be awesome to, go yell at the syndicate while you're murdering them. So,
well, that's exactly why you want to do it.
Time to talk some trash. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for tuning into this episode. Again, the beta is going to be running until I think it was August 2nd. Yes, August 2nd. So get in there, enjoy it, have some fun. Just as a reminder, beta players who are currently playing also get 25,000 marks of fortune to test in the currency shop, so you can see how that feels. I know a lot of people were kind of worrying how that's going to play out, but you can also test that in the beta and see if it is worth your time. Other than that, we're all having a real good time playing. If you want to come play with us, check us out. You can follow the Discord in the description of this episode, where you can find all the information about what we're doing, where we're doing it, when new episodes come live, the whole 9 yards. We've got a fantastic community over there, who we've all been having a good time with. We'd love to have you guys join us as well. So again, a big thank you from myself, Slacker, and from Big Papa.
See ya.
And Ruko.
Bye, everyone.
You guys have a great week. We will see you next week. Thanks so much.